Bonsoir, mon chers. C'est jeudi à soir. It's Thirsty Thursday. Bonjour. Bonsoir. Whatever temps it is for you out in the world. How are you? How is everyone? I am more rested today. Last night I was such a cooked little turkey. Today I kind of took it easy and did some like light chores around the house, and then I went on a nice run because like the weather's changing and it was nice and like cloudy and breezy, and even like the leaves have started to change. So I had to go out and enjoy that. And so I ran, and then I walked through the woods for a while, and I went to the store and I got stuff to make smothered cabbage, which is another Cajun pot that I really enjoy. And I got a card over there. I didn't look at it yet. I just put it over to the side and flipped it over. And yeah, so it's another one with smoked sausage. I'm like a huge fan of smoked sausage. It's like one of my favorite things. So this dish is mostly just cabbage, celery, onion, potato, smoked sausage, and then you like cook all that down and plus some other things, and then you serve it over rice, and it's delicious. I'm obsessed. It's one of my favorite things. So I'm excited to make that tonight, and I am like burning my candle. I'm gonna water my garden, so just put a nice little relaxing night in. And I believe today is the solstice. So I don't know about you, but I was processing a lot of things today, having some revelations, realizing that I had turned a corner in, some healing things issues that I was trying to heal for a while. And so I felt today like I was like reflecting and like really coming to the other side of it. So that was exciting. And I hope that maybe you had something similar today, maybe something that you'd been, just came up in your consciousness that you'd been reflecting on. Maybe you had a breakthrough or an insight or something. But I think that this week is really lending itself to that. We have Rosh Hashanah, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and it's all about resetting and letting go of your negative patterns and, up-leveling and transcending your, shortcomings and the desire to receive for the self alone, and, overcoming fear and getting into that creator cause consciousness rather than effect consciousness. Okay, let us see what our message is for the week. Okay, first we got, it is safe for you to love. Open your heart to give and receive the highest energy of all. Okay, so we don't want to be blocking ourselves off from receiving love by being afraid or having like conflicting desires to like protect ourselves from, using defense mechanisms to keep us safe from love, but then also it like blocks us out, right? So knowing that it is safe for you to love is a practice, because it's a balance of being open and vulnerable, but also learning to trust yourself and learning to listen to those warnings that you get in your gut that are like sending out red flags. Pay attention to the red flags. If somebody is not treating you well, or they're giving you bad signs, like don't keep hanging out with them. Like when you hear it is safe for you to love, that's not just like all right, go for it, anybody's all right. Like even the person that's not really good for you, like, oh, it's safe for me to love. Like, no, you have to learn how to make it safe for you to love by learning how to be vulnerable and explore, but also hold your boundaries and take your time so that you can get to know a person and really actually pay attention and believe them when they start to reveal themselves to you. Like if they tell you a hard truth that's not convenient for them to tell you about themselves, believe them, okay? Like it's not, don't be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna see past that and believe the best, and like that's where we get into trouble. Believe people when they show you who they are. Okay, so open your heart. It is safe for you to love. Let your guard down, but just know that like you're wise enough to like follow your instincts about people, right? So it allows you to let your guard down and have fun and just see what happens, right? Let your heart open up and embrace life in the moment and be an attraction. You attract romantic love by enjoying this moment fully. I love that this is like turned over. It's like I'm not even like reading it, and like it's literally like it finishes my sentence. So yes, embrace the moment, lean in, have fun. Don't think about things so much and don't take everything so seriously. Just wear, life like a loose garment and be adventurous and see where it takes you. But that playful spirit and just being, lit up and turned on by life is something that makes you attractive to other people, right? It's not very attractive when someone is like, oh, depressed, everything sucks. Like they're always like curmudgeon, like complaining, and like, Debbie Downer, like boo, gross, boring, awful, Zoloft rain cloud coming over. Like, I mean, not that you can't, be your full self, but like in all honesty, like, buck up a little bit. But be attracted to life and stop and smell the roses and open up and enjoy what's around you. I was watching, I really like this relationship coach, Matthew Hussey, and he's just generally good self-help coach as well. But he was talking about in his podcast about how, somebody else was talking about how when they wanted to go out and like be open to meeting people, they would make an extra effort to like open up their energy and not be like really closed off or on their phones or like making sure they weren't like scowling or resting bitch face. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going out to the store tonight, and I was like, okay, I would like to hide in my phone and just like scroll, while I'm waiting in line. But instead, I am going to open myself up to the cute man standing in front of me who's not wearing a wedding band. And he was noticing me, but I caught vibe, and he wasn't my thing. So I just sort of like let that one go. But I was like, oh, it really works, right? So open yourself up, look pleasant. Be the approachable person when you want to be. All right, codependency. Addictions are affecting your romantic life. So this is a wonderful opportunity, leading up to Rosh Hashanah, of deciding what we really want to put on the chopping block, what we're ready to sacrifice. That was one thing that was really awesome about going to see Florence this week. It just felt like the whole audience had this like collective feeling, like everyone was just offloading like some weight that they don't want to carry around anymore. And one thing that is the greatest weight that holds us back, that keeps us in our patterns, is not being fully aware of our codependency and where we are on the spectrum. And the more that we're able to observe the patterns and be aware of them, then the less hold they have on us. Because when we see ourselves like starting to like default into the pattern, we can say, oh, I'm not like a robot. I'm not like a operating software like on a computer. Like I can choose. I don't have to go through this pattern again. What do I actually want? Like, how do I want to meet the situation? Learning to be self-sufficient and learning how to, not look outside of yourself for other people to validate you or for other people to sing your praises or, give you permission or whatever it is. Like, think about any little role that you find yourself playing out with all the people in your life, whether it's a parent or a sibling or a friend or a coworker or a lover. Like if you have these familiar patterns that you're playing out with any person that's kind of like always the same, and you feel like there's not any way that you guys can hang out if you're not playing into that pattern, then that is something that is probably a codependent pattern playing out between the two of you. The fact that you have to like mold yourself into that role, right? So, the codependency, also, there was something else I was going to say about it. Like, I mean, it's not just being like super needy towards someone. It might be being super avoidant to someone, right? So it might be, you know, any kind of extreme pattern. Or, oh yeah, I was going to mention enmeshment, like not feeling emotionally responsible for other people all the time, right? We want to be kind and considerate of others' feelings, but we don't want to hold ourselves completely responsible for how other people feel, right? Like, we can't go around propping up everyone's ego in life, or like holding the hand of their inner child like day and night. Like, sometimes people have to learn how to thicken their own skin, face their own triggers, right? It doesn't give you license to go around being a dick, you know, like, hey, get over it, deal with your triggers. But like, you know, you don't have to make decisions based on, you know, keeping everyone, you know, happy and satisfied and completely abandoning yourself, right? You need to value yourself and show up for your needs in the relationship and communicate those. One of my Kabbalah teacher brought up a good example in class about a relationship dynamic that was playing out between him and his wife, and she accused she said, like, they were talking about whether they wanted to stay in and like just be together, or like have people over and like have dinner or whatever with a bunch of friends. And he wanted to have people over and she wanted to just chill and hang in. And, you know, they were kind of he was like, oh yeah, well, I just think it'd be really fun to have people over. And she was like, well, it went on back and forth. And she was like, well, we always do what you want to do. And he got really upset and triggered, because to him, he was like, well, this is news to me. Like, I didn't know that we always did what I wanted to do. Like, so now I'm wondering, like, why have you never brought it up? Like, I thought we were both in agreement and like we were both having fun doing, like, I thought we both liked to do the same things. And so like, he wasn't aware of it. And then he's like, so why aren't you communicating? Why aren't you valuing yourself to speak up? Like, and you know, because I could see that it wasn't really giving him like a fair chance, and it wasn't giving her a fair chance either, because like, it was just setting them up for like a resentment to build, because one person wasn't like communicating their needs. I've had like, my partners don't communicate their needs to me. They just like sometimes keep it to themselves, and then later on they're like blow up, and I'm like, why didn't you say anything sooner? Like, I mean, like, I'm a communicator to you. Like, why don't, I mean, like, this is like, I keep asking you to communicate, you know what I mean? So like, communicate your needs, right? Value yourself enough to know that like, if you're in a relationship with someone, they value your needs too. Like, and if you think that they don't, then you're assuming the worst about others, and maybe you should like, you know, like check yourself and be like, oh wait, yeah, I need to like straighten out my perception, right? Like our reading the other night, it had to do with the only thing that is blocking us from having so much like blessing and like fulfillment and satisfaction in our life is really just the perception that we're bringing to any given moment. All right. So free ourselves. It's time to take back control of our life. So yes, free yourself from codependent patterns. Free yourself from limited beliefs and, you know, conflicting desires that are keeping you stuck in these like holding patterns of going back and forth. Like, we want to be in alignment with our higher self, because the higher self is the truest expression of our like most liberated, authentic like nature, right? Being the highest version, the kindest, the most enlightened version of ourselves, the healthiest, the most confident, and, you know, in touch with our talents, right? That's the higher self. It's like the most perfected version of ourself that exists in us, within us. It's just that we have all this like crap getting in the way, right? Keeping us small, keeping us fenced in, mostly just fears, mostly just, I don't know, you know, anxiety and worries and just distraction. I mean, you know, our minds can wander off into so many places, and then we waste so much time thinking and talking and doing like stuff that just doesn't even amount to anything. That's not even enjoyable. It's just filler, right? So free yourself. Safe for you to love, but learn how to trust yourself by learning how to set boundaries with yourself. Learn how to say no to yourself and no to others, right? Like it is safe for you to love is not just like, okay, the universe said it's safe for me to love now, so there's no dangers, there's no threats out there, there's no, whack jobs out there on the dating apps. They're still out there, right? So just trust your inner guidance, right? And then act on it. If you're having a great feeling about someone, okay, go slow, like ease in, like get to know people. And if you're having a bad feeling about someone, step back. Examine that. See if it's, coming from somewhere valid. Open up, have fun, be in the moment, and really be present with it and appreciate the moment. Open yourself up to fun and interacting with people when you're out and about. Let's identify our codependency and really get a hold on that once and for all. The more that we reflect on it and journal over it over the next few days, we can really get clear about what our patterns tend to be so that we can release them during Rosh Hashanah and allow them to be cleansed and cleared from our soul contract and all of these assignments that we're having to continually deal with these issues. Bored to death, can't do it anymore. Let's just move on, free ourselves from this round and round and round, right? This painting always reminds me of those parking lot ponies. Does anybody remember those? They don't really have them anymore. But when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, there were these traveling, I don't know, it was even smaller than a carnival. They weren't even parking lot carnivals. It was just basically a tent with a few horses that would walk in circles. And they were so tired and they were so miserable. And this reminds me of the horses that walk in circles, right? So free yourself from this pin. Break free from the patterns and the cycles and the round and the over and over again, and do something new. Open yourself up to something new. It's safe for you to explore. All right, you guys. May your thirst be quenched. Many blessings. Y'all be good. Bye.